Welcome to Iris After Hours.
Casual conversations with inspirational speakers off the clock. Welcome back to Iris After Hours. I'm here with my entertaining co-host, Nathan Kotzer. I'm Crystal and Human, and we have one of our favorite people ever on the podcast today.
He is a great friend of Iris. We have known him for years. He started an amazing church in Nashville called Legacy, which is an Iris base as well, and a missions mercy charity called Mercy 29, and it's Lyle Phillips, and he's right here with us
what's happening?
in the studio in Pasadena.
In Pasadena.
Thanks for coming
for a full
over.
48 hours.
Come on, I know
is
you've
that
come over
all?
to come over to preach at the and teach at our M24 mission school.
Yes, huge honor. It's amazing.
It was great.
When Herbert told me about it, he was like, these are missionaries. They're the real deal. They're ready to go on the field. You're going to love this. So it's been a blast.
Come on. Now, Lyle, straight off the bat, I want to ask you,
Yes.
what gives you the authority to come here and teach? Obviously, God's been doing, I know the answer to this, but God's been doing crazy stuff in your life. You are
Yes.
now called upon to come and teach at second-tier mission schools.
Yeah, it's
and
surprising.
we honour you, and we honour your gifting, and honour your journey in God. Do you want to tell us a bit about what you've got to give to these students?
Sure, absolutely. Well, to be honest with you guys, I never really thought I would ever consider myself to be a missionary. Like, ever.
Wow.
In fact, when I went to Pimba in 2008, I think it was.
Yes.
Yeah, Harvard School 9.
2008.
Yeah.
Summer school or fall school?
It was a fall school, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah, the hot
Brock
one.
and I were married in 2008.
No way.
It's crazy. That
Wow.
summer.
No, you went 2008. Oh, yeah.
2008?
We went 2007. It was Harvard School. It was number 5. And you came to 8. Yes. You were getting
9.
married. Oh, 9. So you were in the
Harvard School
November,
9,
the
and then Harvard
October
School 10.
Yeah.
You and Sarah led.
Yes, and you came
As-
back for staff.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So for me,
wow.
I
Forgot that.
actually did not think I would ever go back to Pimba. Just to be honest. Like,
Yeah.
for me, Pimba was excruciatingly painful.
Really?
Oh, yeah, it was terrible.
Interesting.
Like, honestly, so the only reason why I ever found Iris was because a friend of mine who was a missionary to Africa slipped me a Heidi Baker CD of her preaching at a revival somewhere and said, you have to listen to this lady. She's an amazing missionary and an awesome preacher. So I took the CD and I put it into my car, and for 45 minutes she only laughed.
Oh,
So
yeah.
at the time,
What
I
did
was...
that do to your bubble, man? Did it
Oh, it
break
bursted it big time because I was at the time studying to be a pastor.
You're like, what?
I'm like, what is this? Like, she's just laughing.
Where's
you know?
the
It's like,
message?
yeah, when's she gonna like give the points? You know what I
Yes.
mean? So that's what I was thinking. And I did have a desire, though. I have to be honest. I did have a desire to help kids. Like, I've always had that my whole life. Even when I was away from God as a teenager, and I began following Jesus at 21, I wanted to do something for
Hey,
kids.
21. That's when I came back to the Lord.
No way. Boom.
I
Look
didn't
at
know
that.
that.
That's amazing.
Shaka-baba. I had
Yeah.
my wild years from about 16 to 21.
Same.
Lyle.
Same. We're twinning right now.
Come on.
So, yeah, that for me, I was like, okay, I'll listen to it. I'll continue to listen to it, although I was confused by it. I was like, I've never heard a preacher that's this happy. Like, what is she doing? What is she saying? But there was that thing of like, you know how the best things are not like taught, they're caught?
Yeah.
And I felt like I was catching like what she was carrying in that
God's
moment.
organics. I call
Yeah,
it.
yeah, like just the joy of the Lord, like
Yeah.
the joy of our salvation. Like I'd never seen anyone or heard anyone so happy about Jesus saving them.
Yeah.
And I was like, yes, I understand. Like when Jesus found me, I was a drug addict, I was an alcoholic, I was a drug dealer, I was a terrible person. I'd been arrested several times, been shot at more times than I can count. Like that's my
Wow.
story. So when I
And
got
your
saved,
parents are pastors?
and they're pastors.
Wow.
Yeah, so
Hey,
like,
my
Yeah.
dad's a pastor too. PKs.
what?
Come on.
Look at this. You're going to have to get in here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well,
Alright.
MK.
different story, but that's cool. Yeah. MKPK too.
It's all right. So, for me, I was like, when Jesus saved me, like he had to scrape the bottom of the barrel. And so being this happy is completely justified.
Whoa.
And so
Yeah.
there was something that drew me to it. In fact, when I heard it for the first time, I actually pulled over my car into a wheat field. And yeah,
Wow.
funny, right? So I pulled over my
In
car
Kentucky.
in Kentucky
Yeah.
because that's where I was living at the time. I was a youth pastor. So I pull over my car into a wheat field and like I sprint into the wheat field and I start twirling around, looking into the sky, like laughing and screaming because I didn't know what was happening to her. Like, it's wild. But I thought,
That's awesome.
this is amazing. Like I found something new about Jesus. Like no one had ever given me that permission to be that
Yes.
happy about my salvation.
Did anyone see you?
No.
Okay.
Except
it's pretty
for,
remote.
Yeah, no, except for a guy who pulled into the field and told me to get out.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he pulled in. He was like, "What are you doing?" Because I guess he thought maybe we were doing drugs or something.
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh no, we're worshiping." And he was like, "What?" I said, "Yeah, we're praying." He's like, "Well, you better pray the farmer doesn't catch you because you've driven into his winter wheat."
Amazing. Yes.
So that's my introduction to like Iris and Heidi. And so for me,
And you never thought at that point you wanted to go to Africa or anything like that? It
Never.
wasn't on your radar?
I'd been to Africa with a pastor of mine, but I wasn't interested in being a missionary.
Yeah.
So even as I heard this CD and I'd heard about Iris and your family, I never really thought I wanted to be a missionary. So even when my friend who gave me the CD suggested that I check out the Harvest School, I was like, I don't know.
It's not really my thing.
Yeah, I don't think so. But I want to help kids.
Yeah.
Like that was in my heart. I was like, but I want to help kids.
Wow.
And so that's actually why I went to the Harvest School. Like I was totally impressed by the CD and eventually ended up finding a VHS tape of an Awaken Deborah Women's Conference where Heidi was preaching the message of
Awaken Deborah Women.
Yes. And that
I
I
love-
We need to have another one of those conferences.
That's pretty classic. Yes.
I think I still have the VHS tape.
Come on.
Nice.
And that's actually what pushed me to go to the Harvest School. So I watched it like 15 times in 2 weeks. Wow. And so I'm thinking, this is awesome. I've never seen anybody this happy about salvation. I want to help kids.
Can I just ask
I'm
something?
going to this school.
Did you, when you were watching that video, did you like feel the presence of God?
Dude, I wept.
I know that
For
the same
weeks.
thing happened before we'd been to the school. Me
Really?
and Sarah discovered this online. Oh, I forget the website, but Heidi preaching, and we would just get wrecked in the presence of God.
Man.
We'd leave it playing all night. These videos on whatever it was, YouTube or whatever it was back then, some website called fathersglory.com or something.
Yeah, I remember that. Fire on the Altar. You guys remember that one?
No.
Yes.
I no.
And
I
we
don't
were just
know.
getting undone with Heidi.
know what
was
you're
just
talking about,
carrying
though.
something over the airwaves. It was just, it was incredible. In
Yes.
Sydney. We were in
I
Sydney,
remember Father's
in a little
Glory.
apartment on the beach.
I'm with you. I remember that.
Yeah.
They would release like compilations and like do videos and like nobody does compilations anymore. It was like a messages set to music. So Father's Glory would do that, and they would put like Heidi Baker messages and
Yeah.
Interesting.
so that was all like kind of the same time period, I guess.
Yeah.
Because initially, I wanted to go to Harvest School 8, I believe, but then I ended up going to 9, and actually took my little brother with me. Yeah, Bryson, who I don't think you guys have met.
No.
So all of my brothers, I'm four boys in my family. We've all done a Harvest School or an Irish school.
That's awesome.
That's so cool.
All of us. So Spencer did the boot camp.
Yep.
My youngest brother, but we've all done an Irish school. So when I went to Pimba for the first time, my first month there was like very painful. And I know not everyone has this experience, but the entire first month I was just laying on the ground in a puddle of my own snot, just like crying out to God. Wow. Like I didn't even understand, like he was just wrecking my life. Like everything I'd built my faith on up to that point was just being obliterated. And like God teaching me about the Sermon on the Mount and the real gospel of Jesus Christ, not just about like church culture.
And it hurt.
It
Like,
hurt.
It was hard.
Yes, because
Yeah.
I was dying to myself. And I remember screaming at God, like, God, I don't want to be a missionary. I want to be rich.
I want to be rich.
I genuinely said that to the Lord.
Wow.
I remember that. I was in Beira at the time when I
Yeah.
shouted that. It was during
Wow.
worship, so nobody could hear me. But I want to be rich, God. And I remember the Lord told me, He said, you're going to have plenty of money. Just going to give a lot away.
Wow.
So I was like, okay.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. So for me, like it was just this humbling experience of everything I'd built my relationship with God on, just being pulled out from under my feet. Like, let me teach you about the Sermon on the Mount. Let me teach you about humility. Let me teach you about going low and slow. Let me teach
Yeah.
you about serving the poor. Let me teach you about loving your neighbor. I mean, these concepts, which we know are core to the gospel, were not things that I'd really ever heard before.
Wow.
I thought Christian ministry was about being a famous influencer that wrote books and everyone followed online. Like, that was my concept for ministry.
Of course. And why wouldn't it be?
Right?
Yep.
So when I got to Pimba having this experience, I didn't know what to think. And someone had actually heard me preach in East Kentucky just a few months prior to going to the school, and her name was Tamara Frizzell. Do you guys remember her?
Yeah,
Yes.
she did our applications for when Sarah and I went to Harvest School in 2007.
Yeah.
She's passed. Did you guys know that?
No.
Yeah, she's passed. I would consider her to be like honestly a hero of mine because she passed away early, I think, of cancer. In her 50s, her husband Frankie's still living, and they would serve with Iris at the Harvest School.
Oh, yeah.
And just the sweetest, most amazing. She had this big, boisterous, contagious laugh. She was just like the happiest woman.
Yeah.
And I went to preach, and in East Kentucky, and that's actually how I got accepted to the Harvest School, because I preached at her church.
Yeah, because she was doing the exception. She accepted me and Sarah too.
awesome.
Yeah,
That's hilarious.
So in the message, I was like, I'm going to go to Mozambique. And I was just like proclaiming that.
She's like, are you?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's see
has
about
he
that.
applied for that? And so she walked up afterwards and she was like, hey, she said, are you talking about the Harvest School in Mozambique with Iris Ministries? I said, yes, I am. She said, well, I actually approved the application. She's like, I'll accept you today.
You're like, thank God.
Yeah.
I just said that from the
amazing.
pulpit.
Yeah.
What are the
So,
chances of that
Isn't
happening?
that wild? So
That's
at the
amazing.
time,
Wow.
That's awesome.
Tamara, I can't remember how you say her name, maybe Tamara Frizzell, she called Pamela Maxwell, who was leading the school at the time. She said, you have a student, his name is Lyle, he and his brother Bryson are there. This was Harvest School 9. I'm going through this like crazy like deconstruction of everything I've built my faith on.
Wow.
First couple weeks, Pamela tells me, hey, look, I know about you from my friend. We don't have anybody to lead the boys' dorm Bible studies. Can you do it? I heard that you preach. I said, yeah, sure, totally, I'll do it.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, that'd be great. So I start taking this responsibility for the what did they call it? Like the House of Peace
Yes.
for the guys, right? And so when Mama Heidi arrived, then that allowed me to go into the first staff meeting of the school, because she arrived a month into that school.
Right.
Okay, so I'm a student. Everything I know about God is being like destroyed. I've spent an entire month laying in a puddle of my own snot.
Did you find the conditions difficult? Like
Oh, yeah,
physically as well?
terrible.
Was that hard for you?
Hated it because I'm a neat freak. Like I'm like borderline like OCD about my stuff. Like I want my shoes like this. They have to be clean.
Ooh.
Like I press my clothing.
Did not know that about you.
Yeah, I'm not. I've been delivered. I'm not quite as
Yeah.
intense. But
Okay.
so I walk in. Now this was the
But in
Harvest
those
School.
days, you were intense.
very much intense.
Before deliverance, BD.
Yes, totally BD. So, walk in. There's like 8 guys in one room. There's no ACs. This is before eggs and peanut butter.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
Now all
yeah.
the students get that, right?
I know, yeah.
Yeah. So
How luxurious to get eggs and peanut butter in the morning. That's like too much.
right, exactly. So I walk in and I'm like, oh no, I can't do this. So when I get to this staff meeting, this is a month in, I'm having a terrible time. I was counting down the days on my watch. I had a watch that showed the date, and I set it to show me how many days I had left in Pimba.
Yes.
I was like, I have 74 days, 6 hours, and 22 minutes. And so like I'm in this meeting, right? So Mama Heidi's there, and like it's all the staff, and I'm a student, but I'm there because I'm helping lead the Bible studies.
Yep.
Well, this is my first month. I'm there in Pimba. She's going around the room. She's asking everyone, what's your story? She's doing it in classic, Mama Heidi fashion. Like, that's great. Like, praise God. She's so happy, for everyone. And I'm debating in my heart, when she gets to me, am I going to tell the truth? Like, am I going to tell her that, like, my time here has been absolutely terrible?
Yeah.
And like I'm broken and I don't know what to think about my faith, and I don't know how to do ministry, and like I'm a youth pastor and I'm not sure how to do this anymore. And so she gets to me and I'm thinking to myself, I'm going to go for it. And I said, Mama Heidi, she said, what's your story? Mama Heidi, I'm not having a great time here. I got to be honest with you. Every day I'm laid out in a puddle of my own snot. I don't know how to be a Christian anymore. I don't know what it means to be a Christian anymore. I'm a youth pastor. Like, I have responsibilities back home. And the last thing I said was, I just pray that God puts me back together again before I get on a plane in 74 days. Because I have people who I'm responsible for.
Yeah.
That was my experience. Okay?
You are a legend.
I went for it.
Oh man,
and
how
I
many
was
people
honest.
wouldn't be honest? Oh my god.
Nobody said
That's
anything.
so convicting.
Nobody said anything for 10 seconds. I mean, you could almost hear people's head turning because they're looking at me, looking at Mama Heidi, looking at me, looking at Mama Heidi, and I thought she was going to rebuke me. So I thought she was going to say, like, you know, you're out of line or something. I didn't know because it was my first interaction with her. I'd only seen her on the VHS tape. Mm-hmm. So I didn't know anything about Iris.
Oh my gosh, this is your meeting with Heidi.
Yeah.
Oh my.
This is my first interaction of saying, like, I don't like your school.
It's funny. Yeah.
Oh my god.
It's surprising. Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, so
Total vulnerability and
total,
truth.
I went for it.
Oh my gosh.
I went for it. I was like, I don't know how to
You're
do
incredible.
ministry anymore. And so I'm just like, at this point, my soul is like laid bare. I'm just honest.
Yeah.
Whatever. It's fine if I get in trouble. Like, I just need to be genuine because that's all I had left was like my vulnerability. I understood at that point the only thing I had left was Jesus. Like, I'm like, Jesus doesn't come through. I'll be here for 74 more days. My life's going to be miserable, but at least I'll have the Holy Spirit. Like, I knew that.
Yeah.
And so everybody's like deadpan silent in that room. Like, they're waiting to see, like, oh, is he in trouble? Like, what's going to happen?
Yeah.
Because I wasn't being disrespectful. I was just being honest.
Yeah.
And so I just decided that I'll just stay locked gaze with Mama Heidi. Like, I'm just not going to look at anybody else. I'm just going to look at her. And after about 10 seconds, I'm serious, this tear starts to form in one of her eyes and then, like, drops down her cheek. And it's like a movie moment.
Stop it.
I'm serious. This
Oh
tear
my
drops down her cheek.
gosh, no.
And it's in her old office. And
The
so
way you're
she's-
describing that is so intense. Yeah.
It really was. And nobody said anything in her old office. And she's sitting on her couch with some kids, you know, around her. And I'm on the other side in a chair with a Coke bottle. And she gets down off of the couch and on her hands and knees crawls the entire length of the room. Nobody says anything. And at this point, she's just crying. And she gets over to me and, like, grabs me by the head and leans in. And she whispers in my ear, "Blessed are you, son, when you're poor in spirit, for yours is the kingdom of heaven."
Whoa.
Wow.
And then she leaned back and said, "God's never going to put you back together again."
That's epic.
Isn't
Yeah.
it? So that was my first meeting with your mom.
Wow.
My first meeting with Mama Heidi.
That is the
Like-
most classic meeting with Heidi I've ever had.
Really?
Yeah.
Did that
That's-
change anything in you internally for the rest of your time there? Or did it kind of just keep being the same?
It changed something. And in that moment, like, obviously, yes, I've given my life to Jesus, but that is the moment that I believe I became an Irish missionary.
Wow.
Because I was like, I'll do whatever for this woman. Like, you know, because
she accepted you
Yeah.
exactly where you were at.
I'd never
She
been
didn't ask
like,
for you to change. You were
loved
completely
like
vulnerable. Yeah. That's super
honestly,
important.
I was like, okay, I'm in.
You were embraced
Yeah.
in your poverty.
Yeah.
Whoa, for one of a
And
better
all
word.
of my mess, you know,
Yeah.
like, this is all I have. And so before I went to Pimba, like, I was a youth pastor, and I was, like, known in my church as someone who God did miracles through. Like, so people would bring me kids, and, like, I would pray for kids, and I would see healings all the time, and, like,
No way.
yeah, it was crazy. So when I got there, like, to be honest, I think the reason why I was having such a hard time is because I was really arrogant and really big on myself. I thought I was, like, God's man of power for the hour.
Yes.
And, like, all
right.
these other students from around the world came over. I've read the book. Yeah, I just want to see a miracle. And I'm like, I've seen tons of miracles.
Wow.
And I think that's why God was like, let me humble you. And so it got to a point where I had stopped, like, even praying for the sick because no one was being healed that I was praying for the entire time that I was there. I was just this snotty mess.
In Mozambique?
In Mozambique.
Wow.
The whole school.
How's the irony of that?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Of, like, everybody sees miracles. There's, like, people
Yeah.
coming back that had never seen a miracle. Like, man, we saw blind eyes healed.
Yeah.
And I remember one day I was praying for, like, this school of deaf kids, and none of them were being healed. And I was getting really frustrated, and I was like, I don't know how to do ministry anymore. Like, I just don't know what to do. And I would pray for people like, if God wants you to be healed, I guess he'll heal you. Okay, man. You know, it was like I had no fervor or passion.
Yeah.
And it was like God breaking all that arrogance down of like what ministry truly was. And funny thing, like my mother had given me a gift right before I left for the harvest school, and it was a cross. And it was like a necklace, and it was called a prophet's cross. And one day in prayer, God told me, take that cross off your neck and don't put it back on again, because you're nothing except for who I tell you that you are, and you're a servant to humanity.
Whoa.
And so that's what God was teaching me about ministry.
Break it down.
We're just breaking it
Yeah.
all the way down.
Wow.
Wow.
So by the time that the school was nearing a close, you know, I was still counting down the days. I remember being at like 18 days, looking at my watch, and I was like, oh, praise God. Like, I'm so ready to get back. Like, I just want to eat at P.F. Chang's. Like, you know, I'm just like, I'm so stoked to go home. You know, nothing has happened for me except for me just being broken all the way down. And I'll never forget, you guys, we went on the last outreach. And we went very far.
The extended outreach?
No,
Long?
I didn't do extended.
Short. It was a short. Yeah.
It was like the last
You were
one
just
of the
doing what you
school.
had to do.
Oh, yeah, just to get out of there. I didn't sign up for extended.
Right.
I was like, no way I'm doing that. No way. You
Right.
know? So I'm like, so one of the last outreaches of the school, we go like really far away. It's like a 12-hour drive. We get stopped by the police. They're like, we're not letting you through. Like, you have too many like foreign passports on this truck. Like, we're not going to be responsible for you. Like, you have to turn around. So while we're waiting on our drivers to convince them to let us go through, we get out and we start playing with these kids that have surrounded the truck. And we're doing like some jump rope and just like hanging out, doing what missionaries do. Well, there was one little girl, and she was disabled. She was handicapped. And all the other kids were picking on her. And they were pushing her down and like making fun of her and laughing and like chasing her. And she was like running from them. And, you know, not knowing how to do anything at this point in ministry aside from love, I just walked over to her and I just like kind of brought her close to myself. That was, you know, I wasn't like down on my knees hugging her or anything. I just kind of brought her close, like, these kids are picking on this girl, like, and just brought her in like this. And when I brought her in, because she'd been running from all these other kids who were picking on her, I could feel her heart like beating out of her shirt. And the voice of the Lord like came through so clearly and said, you feel how her heart is beating? And I was like, yeah, God, I feel that. He's like, that's the way my heart beats for just this one. And you'll never be able to find your way back here, but this is how much I love her.
Whoa.
And I realized, like, wow, like, this is what I came here to learn. Like, I came here to learn that love is the most supernatural force in the universe.
Come on.
And love is more supernatural than raising the dead.
Wow.
Like, you know, it says, here's the list of all the spiritual gifts. Well, let me teach you an even better way.
Yeah,
Love.
the greatest.
So here I was trying to, like, be this great minister and perform all these signs, miracles, and wonders. And what God was trying to teach me the whole time was, that's good, but if you don't have love, you don't have anything. Wow. So I came back from that outreach, and it was like testimony time at the school, which I had never approached a microphone the entire time at the school.
Yeah.
Because I've always felt like yucky about it. Because I knew I had like, I don't know, like people should see like I'm full of faith and I'm great. And, you know, but I went up and Heidi was there and she was saying, hey, you might have testimonies. And I got up and I'm like, it's a really simple testimony, guys. Like nobody got healed or, you know, lame didn't walk, the blind didn't see, the deaf didn't hear. But it's like the experience that I had. And God told me that love was the most supernatural force in the universe. And and I remember Heidi saying, you got it. Like, you got it.
Wow.
That's it. I was like, okay, that's why I came here.
Wow.
So for me, like, that was my transition into, okay, I'm going to give my life to missions. Okay, I'm going to give my life to the poor. I'm going to give my life to kids. I'm going to give my life to people who don't know Jesus yet.
And you ended up back in Mozambique right after that then.
Right after that, I did. Even though I'd made this intervow. I'm
Right.
never going back.
Yeah.
Never.
And you staffed the school you guys led, your first school?
Yes.
That's right.
Wow.
In 2010.
Mm-hmm.
No, 20. Yes. No, 2009.
2009. It was the
2009.
summer school of 2009.
Yes.
Like the not hot one.
Yes.
The cooler of the two. Yes. The cooler
The
of the
not
two.
as hot one.
The not
The
as
easier
hot.
one.
The
Yeah.
hot but not as hot.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
Yep.
amazing.
So that was the start. And the only reason I came back to Pimba, to be honest, was because in between me being a student and me being on the staff team, I started an organization called Mercy 29. And
That's when it started,
That's
right
when it started.
after.
Yeah. The whole reason why I started that was to help Iris with the Million Kid Vision.
Yeah.
That's the only reason I started
Wow,
that.
that was directly after
Yeah.
all of that. It's
So that was
crazy.
my response. I said, well,
Had you had a heart for India prior to that?
Oh, no.
No.
God's never called me to India.
Whoa.
Like, I've never got a word from God about going to India. Like, I just went to India because I saw a CNN news report that said there were 1.2 million child prostitutes in India. That's why I went to India. There was just some righteous indignation that was bubbling up on the inside of me that says, I can't be complacent with this happening while I'm alive. I
Yeah.
have to do something. So for me, like, that was my calling. CNN news report. So the essence of, like, Mercy 29, like, the nonprofit organization my wife and I now lead, like, is really like, let's help Iris with the Million Kids.
Yeah.
So that's why we started with the Noviani Village, which is the village outside of the Village of Joy in Pimba.
Yep.
Because my idea was, well, if we take the financial burden off of a number of kids at Iris, that will free Iris up to reach more kids.
Yep.
So that's why I started.
So recap what happened with Noviani? What were you guys doing there?
Yeah, so you know Papa Don Cantel,
Yeah.
right? So he has his project in the Noviani village, and there's 13 orphan, semi-orphan children, and they have disabled mothers and grandmothers that are caring for them there. And so he started a group home for them. And so the way that our organization started was by sponsoring that group home and caring for those families.
Wow.
And so and the reason I started that versus another project was because I'd built a relationship with one of the little girls who lived in Noviani,
Wow.
named Zina, who's now 16, who I'm still close with. We
That's so
Facebook message a
awesome.
lot, so.
Isn't it funny? All the kids Facebook now. It's
I know.
crazy.
I'm
It
getting
is
calls,
so
I get calls
crazy.
from Mexican people on my phone from WhatsApp and everything, like all these
Yeah.
random calls from those.
What do they talk to you about?
It's incredible.
All sorts of stuff. Yeah.
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 Yeah, it's usually like, if it's her, she'll talk to me about school or ask me, like, to buy something. She's like,
Yes.
hey, I really need this for school.
Phones.
Phones,
I have got
yeah.
to get so many phones when I go back to Africa and just give them out.
Yeah.
Unlocked. I need unlocked.
We need like a donation of just like,
Yeah.
no, these kids need legit iPhones.
Right.
Seriously,
Anyone out
Apple.
there listening, if you want to send us any of your working
iPhones.
iPhones, anything that still works, smartphone, iPhone, or semi-smartphone,
Yep.
we will take them to Africa. We have plenty of kids that need phones.
Don't throw your iPhone in the Best Buy recycle bin.
No.
Send it to Iris Global.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Or
Yes.
Iris Nashville.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So Mercy 29 started with that house.
Mm-hmm.
So you went to India after that?
I did, yeah. So I staffed the school.
Yes.
And then the following, as soon as I finished, I went to India. So a few months later.
It was that quick.
Yeah, yeah.
I didn't
Yeah.
realize that.
Yeah. I mean,
Had you moved to Nashville then, or were you still in Kentucky?
no, still lived in Kentucky.
Still in Kentucky, yeah.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, I mean, that's honestly like, so one of the things that's funny that I always tell students is like 2/3 of God's name is go.
Yes, I
Like, do the stuff.
That's
you know,
cool.
like, you don't
Did you
need
hear that somewhere, or did you?
I think I did. I just can't remember where.
That is,
you know,
I've never heard that before. That is
2/3 of God's
brilliant.
name is go. Like, we're always waiting on another word. You know, it's like God's already given us a word, Matthew
Yeah.
28, 16 through 20. Like,
Just give
we've
him the
been given
word.
the Great Commission. It's not called the Great Option or the Great Suggestion. It's a commandment of Jesus.
Yeah.
And so for me, I just think that if God's not saying no, he's probably saying yes.
Yep. Come on. I always just pray the shutdown prayer too. I'm going, God. If you don't want me to go, you better do something because I'm going. So
Come
I'll
on.
give the option. If it's really bad and it's not him, he can
Come
shut
on,
it down,
man.
close the door. But I'm walking through that door, God.
Come on, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Come on. We hear so many people say, well, I'd like to go to, you know, Africa. I'd like to go to Philippines. I'd like to. Well, I mean, that's just your preference.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I'd like to have some ice cream. Like, that's a preference, right? Tell me about your decisions.
Wow.
Like, let's make a decision to go change the world with Jesus.
Come on.
I don't know. So that's my style. You know, I'm a little
Yeah.
bit pushy in that way.
Yeah.
But I just think
That's
that no
not pushy.
Christians are
That's
called to
great.
be anointed bench warmers.
Yeah.
Like, we're all called to do something
Yep.
for the faith we receive because of what Jesus did on the cross. Like, I
Yeah.
just think that everybody's a part of that.
Absolutely.
So that's why I went to India with that, like, hey, okay, I did the school.
And a number of people may have heard this story from Compelled by Love, and
Yeah, yeah.
But please recap the story of first
Sure.
going to India because
This
it's
is
one
amazing.
of my favorites. We love
It's
it.
incredible.
It's so
It,
good.
it really was an act of God, honestly.
Yeah.
We had no clue what we were doing. The first time that we went to India, I put out a Facebook video, and I said, could 250 people who see this give me $100 to rescue kids from human trafficking? So that was my plan, okay? I don't have any pedigree or, like, I've never studied how to rescue kids or anything like that. I just thought God might breathe on it. And so we didn't have 250 people. We had 100 people. And so 100 people gave $100. We had $10,000. I didn't know what they would do if they caught me with that money, so I like stuffed it in my underwear.
It's so funny. That's what Shara did with Ed,
Really?
early on, like after the tsunami hit, like just stuffing money going to India.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah.
Just in case, you never know. You don't want them to take it from you. And
Yeah.
I thought, man, let's just go, And so a few people went with me on that first trip, and I didn't have any contacts in India. I didn't know anybody. I didn't have any relationships, but I knew that I had one friend on Facebook that was an Indian pastor, and he and I had spoken like a year previous.
Wow.
And I knew he helped kids, so I
Yeah.
thought, he'll probably want to help me. So I sent him a message on Facebook Messenger, and I was like, hey, I want to rescue children in India from human trafficking, child slavery, and prostitution. I saw the CNN news report. Do you think that you could point me in the right direction? And he was like, maybe so, you can come over here if you like. I was like, on my way, right? So we raised this money, we go
Literally.
over there. Literally, we go for it, My mom went on this trip. Like my
Oh,
mother.
wow.
Yeah, my mother.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and that that part of the story should always be told, because I really feel like my heart to serve in ministry and to like bless and to help kids and help the poor, like a lot of that comes from my parents.
Yeah.
A lot of that comes from my mom. And when I told her, hey, we're gonna go and try to rescue child prostitutes, she was like, I'm in.
Wow.
And I was like, Mom, I don't know how safe it's gonna be. This is India. I've never been there. I don't speak the language. I don't know the culture. She's like, I'm in. Like I'm going.
Wow. What a
So
mother.
me and my mom went to India for the first
That's
time.
awesome.
Can I ask you one more question?
Oh, please.
Where does it come from for you to tell the truth? Like with Heidi and with it strikes me, Lyle, that you are a man of integrity and you'll say what's going on. You're vulnerable from the front of the church.
Yeah.
Right from you talk about your struggles.
Yeah.
Where does that come from? Was that from your mum and dad?
Great question. I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. My parents are people of great character. Like, I would say, honestly, like, I owe everything aside from Jesus that I call good to my folks. Like, honestly. Like, they are literal heroes and legends. And, yeah, that's where it comes from.
Wow.
Yeah. They're
Because it's a mark. It's definitely a mark on you. Your integrity and your upfrontness and your authenticity, I suppose, is what I'm saying, is really evident.
Oh, thanks, man. Honestly, I love the passage that says, like, the pure in heart will see God. Like, I want to be honest because I want to see God. I don't want to give God any reason not to show himself completely to me. Like, I really want that in my life. Like, more than anything else, like, Exodus 33 grips my spirit daily. Like, I want to see God's glory. Like, I decided when I got saved at 21, if my life wasn't about anything else, it would be about the pursuit of seeing God. So, like, I live for the time when God steps out of eternity into the present and, like, shows himself in all of his glory. And,
Come on.
and I've asked God for that so many times. And, like, what I feel like I get is, hey, you're seeing my glory. But you see that in the face of the people you serve. Like, you see that in the face of your community. You see that in the face of people that you spend time with.
Yeah. It's awesome.
So, I think maybe some of that's my, passion and drive for that. But honestly, I don't even know that I do that.
Right.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
Good parenting. I'm going to talk to your parents and get some tips on parenting.
Please, they're... Well,
He's got 3 boys. He's moving towards 4, probably. No.
4 boys?
No.
Well, I don't know.
Not yet. Not yet. They'll probably have a girl.
It could be another boy. You never know.
Hey, it wasn't that bad. 4
Come
boys.
on,
It's
look at-
fun, man.
Come on.
It's fun. Like, honestly, we had a blast. And all my brothers are like serving God in ministry.
Wow.
Yeah. So the middle
That's
2
testimony to your
lead
parents.
worship. Yeah. Oh, man, big time. Because they dealt with so much with me, walking away from the family, being estranged, all that stuff. And then my youngest brother Spencer, who you guys know, because he was in the
he came
Irish
to our
boot
boot
camp.
camp, yeah.
he now works for Legacy in Nashville, and he does all of our front of house, and he's just awesome. You guys trained him well.
Come on.
Yeah.
So great.
Yeah. So I guess to
yeah,
get back to
rewind.
India, the story.
You've got
So
money in your clothes. You're heading
money in
towards
the
your
clothes,
friends.
we're
Can't speak the
going-
language.
can't
Don't know
speak
where
the
you're going
language.
really.
Don't know where we're going. I don't even like Indian food. You know what I mean? So
Ooh.
like I didn't.
Ouch.
Yeah, I didn't. I
crazy.
just like I don't know.
Yeah,
but
it can be a lot.
I want to go, and so we get to this one part of India, and it's central India. It's just south of Hyderabad. It's in a city called Ongole. And so in that city, in that area, there's a ton of human trafficking, a ton of child slavery. In Andhra Pradesh, the state where we worked, the government was saying there were more than 8 million child slaves.
Wow.
I mean, you think about
government was
the
saying
government, which is there. That's an underrated.
Yeah, and they would be trying to make those figures look better, not worse.
Yes. Yeah. So that's the
Jesus,
situation we
help.
find ourselves in. And so we're over there. They take us to a rock quarry. So it's like granite, slate, quartz, marble. And you go to these quarries and you look over the edge of the quarry and there's just hundreds of kids there working. And so what they're doing is they're gathering up smaller pieces and they're putting them in baskets, and then they're being hoisted out of the quarry with a crane that usually like a 16 or 17-year-old boy is running. And they're pulling them out and then cutting them, and then they're packaging them, and then they're shipping them all over the world. So like a lot of the slate rock and stuff like that we buy is from that region. A lot of it touched by kids, surprisingly.
Oh my goodness.
So that's what we see when we get there. And we end up meeting a few kids. One little girl named Anitha, she was the first kid that we met. A little boy named Hussein, he was the second. And so that was the two kids that we really got to develop an initial relationship with. We asked them their stories, how they were doing, what their treatment was like. Anitha in particular, she didn't know how old she was. I guessed that she was about 12 years old. She told me that she was being basically worked to the bone every day, forced to get up before sunrise, and then being abused at night as a prostitute. So traumatic, terrible circumstance. And we gave her our word. I said, look, I came here sent by Jesus to help you. And we're going to get you out of this situation no matter what it takes. So we have all this money, right? And we're thinking, man, like maybe we could talk to the guy who owns her and like purchase her freedom. Like, could we redeem her from this situation? Like, how much money is that going to cost? I mean, we're hearing stories that they're buying kids for a couple $100. And so we approach the boss and we say, look, we'll give you $500 if you'll let this sick girl go with us today. He says, there's no way. Like, you have no clue how much money she makes me. I'm not giving her for $500. I wouldn't give that girl to you for $5,000. He said, furthermore, I hate Christians. I don't like the name of Jesus. I don't want them being in this mine, and I want you to leave now. And if you come back again, I'm going to have you killed. Like, that was our first experience with my mom, with these teams. That's what we're told.
Oh my gosh.
So the only problem with that, because maybe I would have been too afraid to go back. Maybe so. But what haunted me in the best way was my commitment to Anitha. I'd said, I'm going to do whatever it takes. So at that point, counting the costs, I'm like, kind of like, if I give my life, like I give my 10,000, like I give, I want to keep my team safe, but we got to rescue this girl. Like there's some way, somehow we can convince this guy. So he just kept going back. And after 10 days or so, he grew tired of us. And he said, listen, I hate you guys. I don't understand you guys. You're Christians. You're weird. But I will let her go free as well as the other little boy that you talked to, but I want like $8,000. And I mean, we did like suffer a lot of criticism for giving the guy the money, but we really felt like that was the solution in that certain circumstance. We prayed, we fasted, we gave him the money, and we took these kids out. Both of them had HIV/AIDS. Both of them were like in the last stage, close to death.
Wow.
The doctor told us, which was very frustrating, hey, she's not going to live. Like, you should give her liquids, keep her away from any other kids. Like, she's going to die, right? Like, that's what we were told. That was the diagnosis. And I just thought, man, if God could rescue her, God could heal her. Like, we got to pray. We got to fast. We got to, proclaim the word over this girl. And we did. She's still living today. Praise God. Still alive. Amazing. And so that's how we started with this guy. We just loved him. And we got these kids out. And that was the first two kids that we ever rescued from human trafficking. child slavery and prostitution. And both were
Gosh.
being used as prostitutes.
Oh
It wasn't
my
just the little girl,
God.
it was also a little boy. Both had AIDS.
Oh
Wow.
my
So-
God! That's unbelievable.
Unbelievable.
Both it's slavery and prostitution. Oh my gosh! It's
And
like
I have some
a nightmare.
interviews that I've done with some of these kids. They're will rip your heart out. Sad, them telling their stories, and just what they suffered, what they faced. I mean, some of these little girls. I mean, they're in a really, really, really terrible circumstance. Like lit cigarettes, they put them out on their faces. They abuse them. They bite them, and they scratch them on their sides, and they're scarred on their thighs. So these are some of the kids that we ended up getting to work with, and pull out of that situation. So this guy, right? This guy threatens our life, says he hates Christians, doesn't want to talk about Jesus. Just a few months later, maybe a month and a half, a hurricane hits India, and it fills up his mines with water. All right, so he can't work, he can't do anything, but all these people that he enslaves are stranded. So they're like stranded in these mines, in these different places. And because he needed help getting food and clean water to them, guess who he called? Us.
You guys?
Yeah.
No way.
This is how it all happened. He calls us.
So you were still in India, or were you back in?
I came back for a season
Yeah.
because I was going to raise awareness, talk about the kids we'd rescued, and try to make another Facebook video.
Yeah.
Because I knew I needed to raise more money. Like,
Yeah.
I need to do something, right? And so I'm getting ready to leave to come back to India. They give me a call. They're like, hey, so guess who called us? This guy, he's
Crazy.
asking for our help. So I had
Wow.
raised another $10,000. I wired it immediately, and I said, we'll break the bank, and we will bless this guy. And these slaves, we will help feed them. We'll give them clean water and some washing powders and biscuits. I think that's what he was requesting. So we did it. Like our team, we had some volunteers. We served these people. And then as a result, the guy's like, I don't get you. I don't understand you. But you're the only people who have ever helped me. You're the only people who I've ever threatened, and you've continued to serve and love me and talk to me about Jesus. Can you guys come to my house for tea? Because I think I want to learn about Jesus.
Oh
Wow.
my gosh!
This
no
guy gets
way.
saved.
No.
Gets saved, gives his life to Jesus. He's in fear for his own life, so he's like, please don't even tell my wife that I'm saved. Like I'll be killed. And so he's in this sort of business with several other people that are running
Hindu.
Yep, it's running these mines, like doing all this, like, and I mean, it's like high caste, right? So it's like, it's the people who are like, they got some power.
They're ruling the roost.
Yeah, they're not just
Gosh.
religious.
Yeah.
You know, they're powerful.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, they know the cops.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're paid off. So it's a tough situation to get into, but he's like, that's why I said, don't tell nobody. You know, you can't, don't tell anybody about me. Don't let the cat out of the bag. Like, I'll help you. And we said, that's great, because that's what Christians do. They're abolitionists. They help rescue people. So we need you to give us all the kids that you're responsible for.
Wow.
He said, I can't do it. I'll get into trouble. I'll lose my life. But I'll tell you what, I'll give you 50 kids today. Like, no cost. 50 kids. Go to the mines, get the sickest kids, the most impoverished situation, the kids in the worst condition. Take them. I'll provide a truck for you to take them. And then just
Wow.
keep coming back, and I'll
So
give you
your
$25.
$8,000 those months ago was worth every penny.
Every penny. Talk to any abolitionist organization. At least $2,500 per kid to rescue a kid from human trafficking.
Wow.
That's pretty average.
It's crazy.
Maybe it's gone up since.
And you got 50.
Oh, 50 right away. So we're like, hey, we broke the bank, man. We gave you 10 grand. You know, like, we gave you all of our money. Like, we're a grassroots organization. Like, we're not even a 501c3. You know, like, I didn't care anything about admin. I just wanted to be a world changer. The only reason we even started a 501c3 is because I knew people would want tax deductible donations.
Yeah.
I mean, I was just like, well, we got to rescue kids. We got to help kids. We got to
Yeah.
bless the poor, right? So this guy's like, well, no problem. Like, I'll send a truck. I'll take care of the kids. Why don't you guys start a school here? How about you start a children's home here? I'll give you some property.
Whoa.
The guy ends up giving us some property. Like, he becomes our largest international donor.
Oh my God.
Oh, yeah. Like, helped us so much. But
So he really got saved. He really.
just transformed.
God.
And so this
amazing.
guy, like, right before he sends
That's an
these
impossible.
kids,
That just seems so impossible when you spoke about that situation. It was just like locked and
not happening.
bang. Wow.
I mean, God showed up, man. It was a total God thing. I mean, we were just there. It was like we were watching, you know, God's story just kind of happened. Like, honestly, it was nothing that we did or said.
You
or
went.
Knew. We just
You
went. Availability.
You goed.
That's it.
God.
You goad. Wow.
That's bad English. I'm trying to get that. 2/3 of.
He's trying to bring it back
God's
to.
name.
Hey, bring it
yeah.
back. Bring
Yeah.
it back. I'm with you, bro. I'll tweet that. I'm with you. So, the guy asked, he said, how do I know this is going to happen? Like, that was sort of his last request. Like, okay, you guys taught me about Jesus. I believe. Like, you guys are rescuing kids. That's awesome. Like, you're telling me about your schools. But see, our schools, like, where we had started working at this point with this team, like, he's like, it's like 8 hours away. So how do I know if I give you these 50 kids that you're actually going to do what you said you're going to do?
Yeah.
We're like, wow, that's a great question. We will actually make a phone call and let you talk to someone. So we put him on the phone with Anitha, who had come home with us just like 2 months previous. And we said, here, talk to this guy. He's wanting to set kids free, and she knows who he is.
It's her old boss.
Yeah. Slave owner.
Yeah, not boss. Gosh. It's like, yeah. Your old owner. Gosh, it's hard to say it, isn't it?
And he says, how's your life?
It's so far removed from our comfortable West Christianity, isn't it?
Owner. Yeah.
Owner. Gosh.
And she says, this is what she says, I'm a princess.
Mm.
Yeah, she said, these people, they've taught me about love, taught me about family, taught me about Jesus. I'm in school, I'm in church, I have friends, and I forgive you.
Wow. So
Oh
awesome.
my goodness. No one told her to say that?
No. You wouldn't believe the stories of these kids that came out, right? So, quick pause, right? Like one little girl, she got sold into this situation by her own mom, right? By her own mom. So she lives with us. She's really connected. She's like a daughter, It's like there's a lot of kids that come out, but then there's like certain kids that are like super close with you. This is that girl. Her name is Lakshmi. And I go out of town for a little bit, and I hear that some of our staff is allowing her to go back and visit her mother, who sold her into slavery. I said, Lakshmi, what are you doing going back to visit your mom? I was upset with the staff. What are you doing letting her go back to visit the mom? She'll try to sell her again.
Yeah.
I said, Lakshmi, what happened when you went back? She said, oh, man, it was bad. My mom, she actually shut me in the door and closed the door on me and told me to get out and work and bring back money. I said, Lakshmi, you live with us now. Why in the world would you go back to visit your mom? She said, well, if I didn't go back, then what would we mean by love? I mean, it's like...
Oh.
the stories these kids, come out of the most traumatic situations and come back with and how they're transformed.
Gosh.
So, long story short, that guy, the guy that we began to work with, that became our largest international donor, that ended up giving us land and like helping us rent houses and for the kids and cars, like giving us actual transportation, like amazing.
No way.
Oh yeah.
Crazy.
He ends up helping us to see over 400 kids rescued from human trafficking, child slavery, and prostitution. Even taking us to the origins of where these kids are bought, sold, and traded.
Wow. So you had multiple homes being set up?
Yep.
Is that what's happening?
Yep.
Gosh, it's
Wow.
like Sodom and Gomorrah, isn't it?
It's terrible. I mean, some of
I
those
can't believe
places.
this exists.
Yeah, oh yeah. I
This
saw
happens.
auction blocks. Like where the parents bring their kids, they auction off.
Crazy.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. I mean, it doesn't feel like reality. I mean, even when you're in it, it's like, is this actually happening? Like, because I was thinking maybe I punched the guy. Like, I punched the guy who's trying to do the auction. And I thought, I don't know how peaceful that would be, how much fruit that would really have. So I'm
Right.
thinking, this is a terrible situation. So after he finished, I just got up and preached with a translator in this village. I say, hey, how many of you guys know about Jesus? Nobody. And he's way out in the bush, right? Where the villagers walk with bow and arrows for the tigers.
Really?
Whoa.
Oh, yeah. Wow. And we're there with these people buying kids. So we just preach the gospel from the auction block.
Wow.
How many wants to meet Jesus? How many of you guys want to get saved today? Hands go up. People get saved. People
No
say, I'm
way.
not. Okay, well, hey, guys, listen. Christians don't sell their kids.
Yeah, they need some sort of light because that's like
Yeah.
utter darkness to sell your child. Gosh, how much deception's over you to do
Oh,
that.
it's wild. But they need
Just 'cause
something. You know,
Yeah,
they need
of
some kind of
course.
help. I mean, they get their faith, right? They meet Jesus. They have an encounter. They get saved. They give their lives. But they also need something practically.
Yeah.
So that's why they're selling their kids.
Yeah.
You know, and we weren't good at that. All we knew was just go and like lay down your life and pray and fast and read the Bible and like serve in love. But then that's where I think Mercy 29 really took a step up. Like, because we started like helping with like get goats in to the village and, you know, some self-sustainable projects and providing like some rickshaws. So like pedal rickshaws, like the bikes
yeah.
where they could do public transportation. It's like India's
Well,
form
yeah,
of Uber.
it's all fueled
Exactly,
by
yeah.
poverty,
Yeah,
right?
And at least they can get an income to buy food
Exactly.
and stuff from
Yeah.
doing rickshaw taxi.
So that's what we started there. So that's the essence of kind of what happened in India. And you know, long story short, we were able to start a few schools for untouchable kids, 8 different children's homes, all these hundreds of kids that left the mines. Like, we set them up with a network of pastors so that they could live in the churches. And I mean, just amazing growth. And God really blessed us with some great relationships in India so that we could have people helping with the kids in different homes and churches. So yeah, it was awesome.
How many times have you been to India now?
So awesome.
I have no idea. So many times. I mean,
So
I
great.
essentially lived there half of my year.
And another
1/3.
place, you said you never even felt called there necessarily. Like, you never anticipated that. It's so awesome.
I grew to love it and Indian food.
Nice.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
Best.
New breed of missionary right here in our presence.
Right.
And meanwhile, I know you partner with different organizations there now and everything, but your day-to-day life, you're in Nashville.
Yes.
Most of the time, right?
Yes.
And you're running a church there.
Yep.
How did that get started? Or what was the deal with that? You lived in Kentucky, right? During most of the time.
Yes.
So how did that happen?
I realized that I could not do it by myself. I honestly thought to myself, there's no way we're going to be able to continue this on unless we start something that creates team so that I can take people with me to India.
That's how the church
Yes.
started.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was only supposed to be a school, really, to be honest with you. I actually thought, we're going to do a school.
Like a mission school?
mission school.
Cool.
Yeah. And I just went there with Iris.
Like an Irish mission school in
Exactly.
Nashville.
That was the whole goal.
Yeah.
Like, my goal is not to plant a church. My goal
Yeah.
is to disciple missionaries
yeah.
to take them with me to India.
Wow.
And the only reason I chose Nashville was because Nashville was the airport that I flew out of to go to India.
No
Yeah, so
way.
it's close.
That's how you ended up in Nashville.
Yeah.
Yeah, so God didn't call you to Nashville.
No.
It was practical. I
Yeah.
love this practical missions, mate.
Yeah.
This is
Wow.
missions 101 right here.
That's cool.
You go, Ed.
Just go.
Sorry, my bad English again. Just go, Ed.
All right.
He
go.
goad.
Okay.
No, goad.
Go.
Goad.
Go, Id.
Yes.
Thank
This is
Great.
a goad. Goad is a goad.
All right,
Sorry,
Nathan.
I'm playing on words here. But this is amazing. This is awesome. So it's in Nashville.
People would be surprised at like how little direction I had from the Lord. It's just like, we'll just
Very
do it.
practical
God will
thing,
stop
yeah.
us if we're doing the wrong thing. Like, he's
That's
so
it.
faithful.
Come
Wow.
on. Exactly.
He's so good to us. You know, if we're moving in a direction that's going to harm us, he'll speak to us.
Yep. He steers a moving car,
Yeah.
guides a moving ship. Like,
Just going for it.
he can't steer a car that's not going or a ship that's in
Right.
the port.
You're right.
What can
That's
you do
a
with
good
a ship in
word.
the port,
That's
mate?
a good word, bro.
Get out in that ocean, brother.
Yep.
Woo!
So we started as like a home group, like as an Irish community.
And now it's a church of how many people?
Last weekend, I'd say we probably have like close to 300 people.
Wow, so awesome.
Yeah.
That's
And it's
awesome.
Legacy Nashville.
Yep.
And I imagine you have a huge heart for this community now. This has obviously
Absolutely.
blossomed into something bigger than
Yes.
you anticipated.
Yes.
What is your heart for this community? What's the vision behind?
Yeah.
I know that you guys do a lot of work with kids, and a lot of stuff's going on in Nashville too.
Mm-hmm.
So
And you got these boxes in the back of your car for
Yes.
homeless people. What are they called?
Yes, boxes of love.
Oh my gosh, I love
Yeah,
that.
they're the
Okay.
best.
oh yeah, I didn't hear about that.
Yeah, so we
That's
get
cool.
together once a month. We do this event called We Are Nashville.
Mm-hmm.
And so one practical way that we can help the poor is that we pack boxes. And so we do Ziploc bags or we do boxes. And they have like 30 items of like just practical stuff. Socks.
30?
Yeah.
Wow, you
like
guys are
snack bars,
amazing.
kind bars, like pins, pencils, pads of paper, things that the homeless actually really want. They don't
Yeah.
want these things, right? Like deodorant, toothpaste, toothbrushes, like sock caps. I don't know what you guys call them here. Toboggans.
Yeah.
yeah.
But I don't know. We call them sock caps in Kentucky.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah, because
no.
it gets cold out there, doesn't
Beanies.
We
it?
don't call them that. I don't know.
Beanies,
Yeah.
yeah.
Beanies.
I don't
Beanies,
think
mate.
I call it a toboggan either.
Yeah,
A beanie.
toboggan. Some people say
Yeah.
toboggan. Beanie. I don't know. What do you guys call
Yes.
them in Australia?
Yeah, beanies.
Beanies. So beanies. We put beanies in there. So just like, and then we have blankets. And so we have a lot of blankets, so we just hand them. So what we do is we give them to our church on Sunday as they're leaving the lobby. We do this like 2 weeks out of the month, and they can take the boxes and put them in their trunk or the back of their car. So when they see somebody panhandling or something like that.
What
they
does
can
that
just
mean,
say-
panhandling?
Like begging for money.
Oh,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
panhandling.
Yeah,
Oh, that's
yeah.
right. Yeah, cool.
Yeah, so a sign or whatever.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You say, hey man, I got a box of love. I'm from Legacy Church, and we don't even tell them the church half the time because we write a prophetic word in the box, and
So
we'll say
good.
your friends at Legacy, and some know what it is, some don't, but it's okay. It doesn't matter. I mean, they're being practically
That's
helped.
cool.
and-
So it's not a specific outreach to a specific location. It's literally as people see the homeless out on the street, wherever they are.
It's
That's
guerrilla
cool.
warfare against the enemy.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
That's cool.
yes. Just like as you go,
Yeah.
just making the city more beautiful.
Come on.
Which is really the
Spreading the
vision.
love.
Like, we want to make the city more beautiful. Like, we always say that. I don't know why that has stuck, but we just say, man, we want to make Nashville beautiful.
Faith expressing itself through love.
Yeah, it's so good.
Have you fallen in love with the city
Yes.
over the years? Do you
Yes.
feel like home?
Yes, it definitely does. And my wife is a native Nashvilleian. So,
Oh, no way.
Yeah,
Awesome.
it's like LA. No one's native,
Yeah, yeah.
right?
Everyone's
Yeah.
come there because it's such a big music industry. And it is LA. It's a version of LA for sure.
Totally.
In that sense that that's the center of music, isn't it? In
Mm-hmm.
America, really.
Yeah, it is. I mean, a lot of people move there
How
for
many
music.
recording studios are in Nashville?
Oh,
man?
boy. You can't count.
It's off the charts.
Yeah, it's so many. So many. I mean, we had church for a time on Music Row, which is just one super long street with tons of recording studios.
Wow.
So they're everywhere. I mean, that's kind of Nashville. You have a lot of young people who move there and want to make it big in music,
Yep.
and they find their way into church and community. And whether they continue with music or not, like, they need a family.
Yeah.
You know?
And you mustn't have trouble getting a worship team together
Oh.
in Nashville.
And our worship team is awesome.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You've probably got several. Oh, my goodness.
Wow.
So it's a local church. We do outreach. We help the kids. We help the poor. Long story short, kind of long vision, I guess. Like, we
Yeah.
really want to do like a dream center.
Yeah.
Like, we really want to create a space for rehabilitation and restoration for single moms, abused women, women coming out of prostitution. Like,
Yeah.
honestly, I really have a heart. This is going to sound a little strange, all right? My wife's not here. But I have a heart to really help women.
Yeah.
All right, like, honestly, like, that even in some sense like drove me to India
Yeah.
because I want to help little girls.
Yeah.
Because for me, I don't know, it's just something God's put in my heart.
Yeah.
They're most vulnerable,
Mm-hmm.
and so yeah, we want to do that in Nashville and really help women in Nashville and the homeless and the poor and the kids, and we really want to develop an arts outreach. Our
Yeah.
dream is to have a music studio in our dream center because all these kids come in, they like make their own beats on the table and rap songs and all that stuff. We want to give them a place to record and a dance ministry. And in Nashville, there's so many music producers and people who'd be willing to volunteer their time. And
Yeah.
so long
awesome.
term, you guys are going to come visit a dream center in Nashville.
Yeah.
Come on.
Long
so
term.
awesome.
That is awesome. Wow. And India there's still stuff happening in India as well?
Yeah, there is. We're still connected in India with this lady named Liana Cinquanta,
Yeah.
and she runs a ministry called Tel Asia, and I want to encourage everybody to check that out because it is phenomenal. And the extent of what she does there,
Do they take visitors?
yes, they do. And like Lou Engel's team,
Yeah.
they go over there to
cool.
visit with Liana. So
Awesome.
Liana's a part of HIM.
Oh, cool.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Super
so
connected.
Cheon just ordained her as an apostle like a few years back.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So she's in our world, right?
Yeah.
She's in our orbit, but not a lot of people know about her yet, but they should. She is so great. She just started, and we helped with this. Maybe the world's first, I don't know, fully self-sustainable children's home. It is reliant upon
Hey, that's
$0
amazing.
of outside support.
Whoa, that's
Not a
incredible.
cent.
How awesome is that?
Completely 100% self-sustainable. You can check it out, telasia.org. She is phenomenal. She is a fiery preacher. She's an awesome woman. So we've partnered with them now. We've moved out of the South a little bit. There's a lot of Christians in the South, which is amazing. But we really want to work in more of the unreached people group. So we're going to go there in the summer.
India's massive, isn't it?
It's so big.
How
I mean,
many
it's over a
people now?
billion people.
Over a billion. Wow.
Can people sign up to go with you as well? Or are
Maybe,
that's
maybe
really
not.
mainly from your church?
Mostly from the church, but if you're interested, email us.
Cool.
So you can email us. You can email me, Lyle@legacynashville.org.
And if people are in Nashville or they want to check out what's going on, what's the website?
Yeah, legacynashville.org.
LegacyNashville.org.
Come on.
Awesome.
Sunday morning services. So we do all this stuff. We Are Nashville happens on the last Saturday of every month as a scheduled thing. Then we do things from time to time throughout the week. But we have plenty of places to plug people in if they want to serve, if they want to help the poor, if they want to do justice, missions, they want to do something international. We got tons of stuff happening, so they could do that.
Wow.
Are you coming back to Africa with us anytime?
Please. I would love to.
Right?
I would love to. Let's do it. Let's
I feel
make
like
it
you should
happen.
come with us
Come
too.
on.
I would
Yeah.
love that.
Lyle, we've got 5 questions to ask you that we ask most of our guests.
Yeah.
Okay.
Really profound.
So, yeah,
All
very
right.
profound, very
could-
deep questions. Like, what's your favourite movie?
Favorite movie?
Oh, he just jumped right in. Yes.
I would
Sorry,
say-
Christy.
I'm going to have to go with Gladiator.
Whoa.
Hey.
I love that Richard Harris and that scene
It's
with
so good.
Dad.
Yeah, I can see him loving that.
Gladiator, what you do, today echoes throughout all of eternity, right? Like that's like so such a word from God.
Awesome. Do you have a favorite sound?
A favorite sound? Like so we're just saying sound in general, not music.
Could be music,
Right.
could be anything.
Yeah.
Wow,
I know, it's an unusual question.
that is an unusual question.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll say the sound of my wife's voice.
Nice.
Yes, come on. Nice.
That's awesome.
Nice. Now, if you could have any other profession than being in ministry and a missionary, just for example, what would it be?
I think I'd probably be like a farmer
That's awesome.
or a gardener.
Yeah.
I'd cultivate something.
Wow.
My family is farmers in Kentucky. I come from where I grew up is 90% farmland. I grew up in a community of 600 people, so we raise beans, tobacco, and corn. And so I'd probably be a farmer.
That's awesome.
I mean, now see that's me saying like if I wanted to get away from ministry and missions, I'd be a farmer because I'm an introvert, and most people don't believe that. But I recharge by myself, so I can just
Wow.
imagine like how fun it'd be like riding around on a tractor all day.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Planting things.
Oh yeah, I love gardening too.
It's so fun. You get to cultivate something,
And you see it come up from
Yeah.
nothing to seed.
eat
fruit.
healthy.
Yeah. Outdoors.
Yeah,
Great outdoors.
right. It'd be awesome.
I love it.
I have a lot in
I'm
common.
totally there.
Yeah.
Now, did I say 5 questions?
Yeah, you did, but I don't know if it is five. I don't know.
make up another question.
You make up a question.
we-
When are you getting
it-
your hair cut?
Oh, that's
Oh.
a great question.
Are you a Nazarite?
Yeah, no, I'm not. I'm not in the sense of I'm not on a vow,
Yeah.
right? I would consider myself to be a Nazarite,
Yeah.
like in my heart, right?
Awesome.
And so I was also a part of a prayer regiment in Texas called the Nazarite Prayer Regiment, and like once you get in, there's no getting out, right? So
Awesome.
kind of weird. Yeah. So whatever. So cutting the hair, I don't know. I want to do it soon. Honestly, I've been thinking about it. My son, his birthday's coming up. He's never had a haircut. He's going to be 2. I keep saying we're going to cut our hair together on his second
Aw,
birthday.
that's awesome. Our kids are like a week
Oh,
apart
yeah.
or something.
They pretty much have the same due date.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just went weeks over.
Wow.
Yep,
Well,
that's
like
right.
2 weeks over. But yeah.
That's right. We
They're
were praying
close.
for you.
So they'll be
Yeah.
in the same. Zebby, my 2-year-old, will be in the same school year.
No
As your
kidding.
boy, yeah, because
That's awesome.
He was born after September 1st, which is the cutoff. So he's in the same school year as Zoe. And what's your son's name?
Isaiah.
Isaiah.
Yeah.
Come on,
Isaiah Triumph.
Isaiah
And
Triumph.
they have a second already.
Yeah, no, Remy, is it?
Yep. Jeremiah Marie Rose is
Yeah.
her name.
That's
Called
awesome.
Remy for short.
Oh,
Yeah.
That's so beautiful. A daughter.
Yeah.
Come on.
So I don't know if we're done.
Bang, bang.
Yeah, pretty
Boy and a
quick.
girl. It's a bit tempting to stop after a boy and a girl, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, my wife keeps telling me, like, hey, let's be done. We'll adopt. We'll adopt in the future if we have a third. And I
Yeah.
mean, she's not the happiest pregnant person.
So
You know what I mean? Like,
my wife could totally concur.
really?
Oh yeah.
You have
She
some
loves the
women
baby.
who are
She
like,
loves the baby time, but the pregnancy.
Sarah hates being pregnant.
Yeah.
Did you like it?
I can't say I loved it, but I
Right.
had an easy pregnancy.
Didn't we?
Oh,
do a
nice.
film
And then a
together?
really traumatic birth, but a
Right.
really easy pregnancy.
Didn't we do a film together when you were pregnant?
Yes!
Yeah, what was
Yes.
that? Where is that? Is that public?
Preggers. No, we're not going to talk about this now. Anyways,
Can we put a link?
Yes.
Put it in the
Nathan,
show notes. I want to watch it.
Come on.
yes. Yeah.
Okay, Christy, you do the
You do the last
I'll do the last question. Okay.
Yes, you have
Lyle.
to.
Oh,
You
there's
always
another
do.
question.
This is
One
the last
more.
one.
This is
Okay.
it.
Number 5.
This is it.
Everything's said and done. Your time on earth is through. You left your body behind. You are meeting the Lord. You're at the gates. He's just about to welcome you in. What do you want his first words to you to be when you meet him? in heaven?
Wow. That's a great question. I'll give you a knee-jerk response. I would love to hear him say, well done. And I want that to be in the context of everything I breathed into you, you breathed out.
Wow.
Like you didn't leave a drop. Like you spent your whole life. For my glory. Yes, that is exactly what I want to hear.
So good.
Come on. Well, Lyle, you're an inspiration.
Oh,
right?
thanks, bro.
Thanks for
Oh,
being
yes. And I'm
here.
sure everyone listening is super inspired
Yes.
about the potential just waiting in every single person out there just to keep going and to go.
Yes.
to go.
Goad.
Yes.
Make sure you goad.
Please
I'm,
use that.
I'm goading you to go.
Yes, yes.
And God will move. God will shut it down if it's not right, and He will just
That's right.
bless it.
Yes.
As you're such an amazing testimony of just doing something and acting and God blessing it and going with it. And your mum going with you. Oh my God.
I know.
That wasn't in the testimony on the movie, was it? The mum.
No, love
So
it.
that part of the story is really special.
it.
I
Yeah.
love that.
Yes.
Yeah. So thanks. And we'd love to, next
thank
time you're
you,
in town, we'd
guys.
love to get you back again.
Yes,
Yep.
please.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome.
Your
Thank you
family.
guys so much.
You're one of our favorites.
Come on.
Thank you. Same. Thank you, guys.
Yeah.
And thank you to everyone who is listening. We hope you are inspired as we have been.
Yes.
And if you have any comments or questions you'd like to hear us ask future guests, you can leave them in the comment section
Yes.
on our
And-
YouTube channel.
Yes. And we will see you next time for some more inspiration on Iris After Hours. Love you guys. This podcast is presented by Iris Global. For more information or to support the work of Iris Global, please visit us online at irisglobal.org.